Hello, my loves, and welcome to another episode of Vampire Builders with your host, Michelle Hext. I have just had the most amazing long weekend. Dave is coming back in a few hours. He left Thursday morning, so it's Monday here in Australia. He left for work Thursday morning and went on his trip straight after work. So I've had all of Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and most of today on my own. And while I love my man, I do love my own company so much. And what I love even more is when I do a really good house clean and then the lawn man comes and there's no one to ruin it. Like, Dave's pretty tidy, but I am like a bit of a nightmare. So I just love to sit in my own home with candles burning and having it sparkling, knowing that no one's going to put something in the wrong spot or leave a mark anywhere. And it's just my idea of a good time. So, yeah, that's a little bit of insight. All right. So, what I want to talk to you about today is what I promised that I would talk about last week, which is how to price and package life coaching products in the high ticket space. Actually, firstly, I want to say thank you so much for all of the beautiful comments or messages that I received actually after last week's podcast, where I went into my story a little bit. It was so lovely to hear from you, and it seemed like it was something that you guys really enjoyed. So I'll get to part B at some point, no doubt. All right, so let's talk about high ticket life coaching offers. It's very easy to create an outcome or results based business coaching product, right? Because we can say, make your first 10,000, hit your first six figures. It's very easy to show an ROI, a financial ROI on a business product, because essentially business coaches are in the business of helping you to make more money or some version of it, right? So if you are a coach who focuses on social media growth, for example, that's still business related, and you can talk about an ROI in terms of growth as far as statistics or numbers. You could be a book writing coach, and the outcome again is very outcome driven, like people have a book. So it's pretty easy, right? But when it comes to life coaching, the outcome is a little bit more, I guess, well, not even I guess, like it literally is harder to create an ROI, because life coaching products just don't lend themselves to that. And so I find that many life coaching clients get really stuck around this. They feel like they can't create a really compelling offer because they don't know how to make it tangible. And I have had many life coaches come through through my programs and through my mentoring over the years. And we are absolutely able to create high ticket offers in that space. But I do notice that my life coaches really struggle because they feel like they have to come up with an outcome that's equal to a business coaching outcome, i.e., do my program and achieve this result. And I have to spend a bit of time helping them to understand that with life coaching products, yes, you can create the idea of a transformation. You can definitely do that, but it can't be as specific as business, because the people that you're coaching are definitely going to be different. And that's not to say that business coaching clients aren't all different. They absolutely are, but they all essentially want the same thing, right? More money, more clients, an easier way of doing business. With life coaching clients, oftentimes the transformation is very personal to them. They know what they want. And so when I see my life coaching clients struggling to try to nail this outcome or the specific result, I have to just coach them around the idea that you don't need to be that specific. Your people are going to know what that means for them. So I currently have an incredible life coach in my mastermind right now, and she has a product that's a very transformational journey in 3 areas. And she was trying to come up with specifics for each of those 3 areas. And again, I had to say to her, you don't need to do that, because just in the languaging, in your opening sentence, though, your clients are going to resonate with that line and what it means for them. So we have to leave room for them to place their vision in the outcome rather than you spelling it out. So, if you're in the fitness coaching space, the fitness transformation space, you're not doing anybody any favors by saying, work with me and lose 12 kilos in 12 weeks. That's how it used to roll. In the fitness space, there were always these weight loss outcomes, like lose the last 10 pounds, that sort of thing, right? And that's not the journey that we want to take people on in that space. What we want to do is, instead of saying, I'm going to give you some examples now, right? And let's just use that weight loss coaching space, that weight loss transformation, body transformation space. Let's just start with an example there. We don't want to say, lose 12 kilos in 12 weeks, because we're going to set people up for failure. We're going to have them on the wrong path to begin with. And more likely than not, you're going to help them achieve a temporary result and then go back to where they were before. That's just the science of it. That is just what happens when we restrict and when we go into a 12-week program like that, and we restrict and we over exercise and we do all of the things that we know are not good for long-term health and long-term results, then we're just not going to achieve the outcome that we want in the long term. Coaching is about impact. Coaching is about transformation. I was working with a client, and her program was the program is called Transformation for Life. And we broke that Transformation for Life program down into 3 phases. And my clients' clients could understand. It's like, I know what this transformation is that I want. And what I want is to make it for life. I don't want it to be this short-term, quick fix, stick another Band-Aid on it and find myself back here again in 12 months' time. And so we have to elevate out of this mindset of saying, let's just get a hard, fast, sharp result just to get results, when what we really want is to create lasting change and impact. We want to create transformation for life. So if you are in that weight loss area, what is the transformation that people want to achieve? And they might, in their brains, think, well, I need to lose 10 kilos. If I lose 10 kilos, I'm going to transform my life. Everything's going to be different. And that's probably not true because they're still going to be them, right? And so the journey that you need to take them on is the journey of helping them to uncover why they feel the need to go on these intense, restrictive, fast, quick fix programs, instead of actually tackling what's underneath and establishing good habits, establishing an awareness, establishing all of the things that are the building blocks that are going to help them to be successful going forward for a long time. I'm stumbling over my words. I'm just realizing, like, I probably haven't spoken to another human being in like 4 days. I've been going to the gym, don't speak to anybody there, been going on my walks, don't speak to anybody there. I've been living in my little bubble at home, don't speak to anybody here. And so it's like, I've been singing, of course, to the music, but I haven't spoken to another person for days and days. And I forget about that. And then I'm like, why are my words being so weird? And it's like, I'm out of practice. Even for someone like me who uses a lot of words in a day, I'm still a little bit out of practice. All right. So I hope that gives you an understanding around that. Another coach that I've had in the past, has was a relationship coach. And again, what we don't want to promise in relationship coaching is we're going to help you find the love of your life in 12 weeks or you're going to divorce your husband in 12 weeks. Like, that is not what we want to be doing. Like, that's going to open us up to, creating ridiculous scenarios that are going to put people in a worse situation than when they began. And so my life relationship coaching client, she worked very specifically in an area with people that were in relationships who were struggling with the relationship and the idea of, are they going to stay or are they going to go? And so we decided that her outcome for working with her in that relationship coach capacity was, you will know by the end of our time together whether you will stay or go. And that was huge for people because they're living in this question and they're going backwards and forwards. Should I stay? Should I go? I'm going to go. No, oh, they were so good this week. I'm going to stay. It's like we've all been there, right? And it's this backwards and forwards and fighting with themselves and debating and negotiating and everything else. And it's exhausting. It takes up so much mental space. And so imagine knowing that you can just get to a point because you've done the work to be able to make that decision and know that somebody else is going to be looking over your shoulder and supporting you, so that if you make that decision, you actually follow through on that decision instead of, staying in the comfort zone. Because relationship stuff, if we're going to have breakthroughs in relationship stuff, whether we stay or we go, we have to get out of our comfort zone. We have to get really uncomfortable. And having the support of that is incredible. And so go back to those two things, right? So go back to the question of, are you going to stay or go? This is maybe a question that you've been wrestling with. It impacts your daily life and has done for, 12 months, 2 years, a decade, like whatever, right? But it has a significant impact on your life. The same thing as you're overweight and out of control, right? So you're feeling like everything is out of control in your life. You're saying no to more things than you want to because the way that you look and the way you feel about the way you look is holding you back. And you're living about a tenth of the life that you would be living if you were proud of how you were living your everyday life and the physical consequences of that, right? What is that worth to somebody? What is it worth to somebody who is living a half-ass life, hiding and people pleasing and not living the exciting life that they thought they were going to be living? If you're a woman in your 50s and you were a bit of a go-getter in your 20s and you were out there and you were doing all the things and you had these amazing dreams, and then, fast forward to your 50s and maybe you were stuck in a shitty marriage. Maybe you were, in a place where you were just taking care of a family and your kids and everything that you wanted came second. Or maybe, the act of becoming a mother changed you. And this fearless person became somebody that was suddenly scared of everything because, the consequences don't just rest on you anymore. Your decisions create consequences for your family, for your children, things like that. And so it's very easy to become trapped and suddenly look up one day and realize, hang on a minute, I am not the sort of person that I expected that I was going to be in my 50s. Or for some women, they get to their 50s and they're like, I did not expect to feel this good. I did not expect to look this good. And I've been powering down my life, feeling like this is how a woman in their 50s is supposed to behave. And you suddenly get this second wind and you're like, I feel like I want to take on the world, but I don't even know where to start. I'm so out of my depth. Or you have moments of that and then you go back to settling again. And then you have a moment of, you watch a movie or a freaking Real Housewives or something, or you listen to a podcast or something inspires you. You see a friend on Facebook traveling the world and suddenly you're like, I want that. And then you shut it down again. No, now, not now, not now. So what is it worth to you to partner with a coach who is suddenly going to help you say yes to all the things that you've been saying no to suddenly helping you to create a game plan to actually, or first help you get really clear on what's the vision for the life that you actually want to be living over the next 5 years? What does that look like? And then partner with you to create a game plan, and then partner with you and support you as you execute that game plan so that 12 months from now, you are not the same person. The things that you're achieving in your 50s are well beyond what you anticipated in your 20s. You are not the same woman. You are a completely transformed human. Your life looks different. The way you look is different. The way you dress is different. The way you carry yourself is different. The way you earn your money is different. Where you live is different. Your daily experiences are different. How you think is different. So, what do you think that's worth? It's worth a lot. What about somebody who has zero confidence and you're a confidence coach? What if you work with women who have no confidence? Maybe they've just been rocked by a divorce, the kids are older now, and they don't have any confidence in themselves to be able to go out there and build a life that they can get excited about. What is it going to mean to them? What is it going to be worth to them 12 months now, 12 months from now, to be so confident that they can't even remember a time that they weren't confident? They can't even remember that they struggled with it because their confidence is so off the charts, and they've been gathering more and more evidence that they are confident and successful and all the other things that they want to be for months and months and months. And they know that they can do anything they put their mind to. What is that worth to somebody? I'm not going to answer that. I'm going to let you answer that. But let me just say that with this mindset around high ticket offers, you can create high ticket offers in the life coaching space. But you need to know your people. You need to know them. You need to know what is the transformation they are seeking. And it doesn't need to be specific. You need to plant seeds in your headlines, in the program name, in the copy, in your messaging. You need to be planting seeds to inspire them to connect with their own vision. You don't need to have the vision. It's easy for me to say to my clients, we're going to get you to multiple six figures. If you are not earning any money right now, we're going to get you to six figures, and we're going to get you to multiple six figures. I know I can help my clients achieve that. That is not a difficult thing for me to do. And I know that that's what most of my people want. They want seven figures, but they're really not quite there yet, right? They're not quite there yet. So a lot of them are aiming for that 500K because the million thing has just lost its shine over the last couple of years because it's all we ever hear about. And anyway, that's a conversation for another day. But in the life coaching space, you don't need to promise a specific outcome. You need to promise a transformation, and it can be your style of transformation. So my client that's in the mastermind at the moment, she has 3 specific areas that she transformed her own life in. And she said, should I focus on those 3 areas? I'm like, absolutely. You've done this. You walk it, you talk it, you're an embodiment of this. It makes absolute sense that this area of transformation that includes these 3 things are your specialty. This is your niche. These are this is the transformation that your types of people want. And so her people are going to get that, right? She doesn't need to spell it out. You don't need to spell it out. So get clear about what is the transformation. And as I say, you need to know who your people are. You need to know who they are, because if you don't, you're going to have a really hard time planting those seeds in that. All right. And so, because we're about impact, I love the idea of working with my clients over longer periods of time. My clients, I encourage them to work with their clients over longer periods of time, because when you get to do that, you get to have that real impact. And in the life coaching space, I think that's equally as important, right? How many times have people done a 12-week challenge of whatever description only to fall back, right? It's just like in social media. Let's do a 30-day reel challenge, and you burn yourself out for 30 days and then you never do a reel for the next 6 months, right? It's like that intense focus just doesn't, it's not required. It just isn't required. And if we are here for lasting change, we need to take the pace back a little bit. We need to let our clients adjust, right? They're going to have breakthroughs, they're going to hit milestones, and that is going to bring stuff up for people. I remember years and years and years and years ago, I had a group of women that this was before I launched my online fitness, I believe, or maybe I had it going at the same time. I can't remember. But I had a small group of women in the town that I was living in. I just had this idea. It's like, I want to run a 12-week transformation. And it was about getting them to where they wanted to be, but it was about establishing habits. And on that program, I made the decision that Monday through Friday, I was going to meet with those clients every single day at 6 a.m. for, I think it was 3 months or 4 months or something like that. And it was every single day, Monday through Friday at 6 a.m. And that, I ended up training those women for about 2 years. We broke it. We ended up going Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I think we just didn't need that level of intensity anymore. And it was the same group. So it's not like I was changing the group. And then I think we even, I just reduced it and reduced it. But I remember one day, one of the things that we used to do was run. And where I lived, there was a lot of running tracks. There was lots of hills and things like that, but we used to run. And there was one particular woman that I was coaching, and she was, when we first started, she was about 110 kilos. And I think she got to in the 70s, which is just crazy. But that wasn't even it, right? That wasn't the transformation. We used to run. And so the running was maybe a couple of times a week, and the other days were strength training. And I remember running with her one day, and I didn't tell her how far we were running. I never told them how far we were running. And this one particular lady, I was running with her. She was slower than the rest, so I used to just run with her. And we're running and we're running and we're running. And I looked at my watch and I said, "Do you want to stop for a minute?" And she said, "Okay." And I said, and I'm going to cry just thinking about it, but I said, "You just ran 5 kilometers." And she's like, "What?" She didn't know that she could do it. And the joy on her face was, we both cried. It was freaking incredible. And she went on to become a runner. But I know that when she hit a certain weight, when we got to 3 kilometers, I think she freaked out a little bit after that. I told her when she got to 3, and it brings stuff up for people. And I remember having to really spend a bit of time with her, especially around the weight, because she couldn't see. She hit this weight that was lower than she'd been since she had her kids, I think, and her kids were older by this stage. And sorry, I'm going back into my memory bank. We're going back a lot of years now. And I remember she hit this weight and she was so happy. And then the weight stopped coming off. And our focus wasn't weight loss, but I knew that this was something that was important to her. And so, like, I wasn't weighing the ladies or anything like that. They were doing it in their own time if they wanted to, and that sort of thing. I just want to be clear that I've never been somebody that's been heavily focused on weight loss for myself or my clients. It's just not, it's not healthy. Anyway, healthy habits are healthy. Anyway, she had hit this plateau, and I remember it had been a few weeks, maybe 4 weeks, maybe 5 weeks, something like that. And I sat down with her and I said, "Look, if you're happy where you are, I am happy for you. Like, let's just sit with this if you're happy with this. And she's like, you know what? I just don't see myself being smaller than I am right now because I don't think I've ever been smaller than that. And I'm like, oh, you've exceeded your own expectations and you don't know what it looks like on the other side. And she's like, yeah, that's what it is. I was like, okay, cool. I said, so how about we just try? How about we just do what we did in the beginning, where we had this focus on just really marking things off, like making sure you have your healthy meals every day, making sure you exercise. This was before 10,000 steps and things like that, but we had good habits. And I said, how about we just do these things and set our minds to losing another couple of kilos? How does that sound? And she's like, yeah, let's do that. And she did, and she was back on the horse again. And it was because she'd exceeded her own expectations. A lot of stuff come up and resistance started, and she stopped losing weight. And she had the capacity for losing weight. She definitely still had like an enough amount of weight to lose for it not to be difficult. It was all in her mind. And so the reason that I share that with you is this is a journey that happened over 12 months for my client. If I had have trained them for 12 weeks and left them at it, there wasn't enough skin in the game. There wasn't enough. There was all success. There were no setbacks, nothing significant, right? And so when you're winning, it's very easy to feel like you can do it on your own. But when you're not winning, when things aren't going your way and you hide yourself in a little, bubble of shame because you should know better and it should be better and you already know these things and you made so much progress and now you're going backwards, that's when we lose our progress. And that's when we give up. And so working with your clients over a longer period of time means that you get to take them on the win, and then you get to hold their hand as they navigate the challenges that they will face. And then you help them overcome that challenge. And then they're off and racing again. And then they're going to hit another hurdle. And you're going to help them overcome that hurdle. And then they're going to be on their way, and you're going to end up supporting them through a long enough period of time that they're going to understand, oh, I've been here before. I know what this looks like. I know how to help myself over this hurdle, because it's always going to be mental, right? Even if you're in the fitness space, even if somebody has an injury, how they navigate that is still mental, right? So you are there to coach them through the hard times, and that's when we create lasting change. And that's what we want for our clients. We want lasting change. We don't want band-aids. And so one of the reasons that coaches have this resistance around coaching clients for 12 months is a couple of reasons. One of the reasons is they feel like they are going to run out of things to say, or they feel like they just don't know how to do it, right? Or they just feel like it's a really long time, and they're going to feel like, oh, well, if but I already get the result in 12 weeks. So what am I going to do with somebody after that? But they're not thinking about humans and human nature and what actually happens. And so you're right. If you've only ever coached somebody for 6 weeks or 12 weeks or something like that, and the idea of coaching somebody for 12 months, like, it does feel like a lot, right? But you're trying to, there is such a journey that people go on over that time that I would just ask you to open your mind to it. It doesn't mean that you coach them at the same level of intensity for 12 months. So my client that had the Transformation for Life program, she wanted to do it over 12 weeks. I'm like, no, we need to do it longer. So she did it over, I think she did it over 4 months to start with, and then 5 months, and then 6 months. And then she was finding her clients re-signing at the end anyway. And she kept that program at 6 months. But she was able to see and say to me, thank you so much, because I now see how much deeper this work can go now that we have the time. And so the way that client worked with her clients, I think it was for the first 6 weeks, they coached every single week. And then it went to once a fortnight. And then it went to once a month. And then as they kept re-signing, they were catching up with her once or twice a month or something like that. And so it meant that, she could take on 4 to 6 new clients in a month, and then it would peter out because she had room in her schedule for those clients because it was tapered. And so you might work with people very intensely for 12 weeks and you think, I can't do this for 12 months. Well, you won't be. It wouldn't be the same as that. You would work with them very intensely for a month or two, and then you get to ease off the pedal a little bit so that it just becomes part of their life for a year. Where they know you have that support. They know that they have your support and you're there to catch them for an entire year. It is the best work that you will ever do. It is the greatest impact that you will ever create, and you will never want to go back. It is thebomb.com. Anyway, that's it. And so when you're working with clients over that 12-month period, which is my preferred way of working with clients. And even if I launch something that's a shorter program, I know that those people mostly transition into something else. I know that. And I do my very best to set them up and create that quick win scenario so the foundations are there. And then I'm very clear about letting them know, you can go off and do this on your own, but I'm going to offer you an incentive to stay with me so that I can hold your hand over the next 6 months while we go through this other process. And most of the time, my clients will continue working with me. So, and those shorter programs are often just a way to overcome resistance. So my clients will, obviously some people are going to be scared to work with me for 12 months because they just don't know what that looks like, and they don't know if the value is going to be there, and they don't trust themselves to get the result, to be generating the revenue, to know that paying me for 12 months isn't going to be a problem. And so I reduce that risk by occasionally creating these shorter programs, knowing that a good portion of those people are going to continue to work with me, and others may not be in the position to, but they go and they use their success and the things that they've learned, but they typically always come back at some point to join my longer programs. So give people your time. And the other beautiful thing about that is it builds your MRR. When you've got these clients working with you over time, over a 12-month time period, it means that for every client that you sign one time, you receive 12 payments. And you stack that and you stack that and you stack that every month. And before you know it, your MRR is looking very exciting. And then as people leave, you get to fill it up again. And so your revenue goes up and it stays up. It does not come down. Anyway, that is it. If you are a life coach and you feel like you can't charge high ticket, you absolutely can. The question that you need to ask is, what is this worth to somebody? The type of transformation that you provide, what is this worth to somebody? And how is their life going to change? How is it going to be different? So if you've coached somebody to create healthy habits and they transform their body and their habits and they're excited about the way they look, for example, how and feel, what's that worth to somebody? It's worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. You can't charge that because people won't pay it, but you can charge a significant amount of money to help people achieve this outcome. Also, you can do things like having a look at, okay, so what have you invested in weight loss in the last 3 years? And they will tell you, I signed up for this food program, I signed up with this personal trainer, I signed up for this online course, I did this other thing, I signed up for this other thing, and I did this other thing, and I bought this shake, and I had this tablet, and you do the maths, and you're like, well, you've probably invested 4 times what you would invest in me. So are you done with paying for that shit and trying to have a shortcut? And are you ready to make lasting change? Are you ready to change your life? Then it's time to invest in this now. And who's going to say no to that? Whether it's relationships, whether it's confidence, whether it is physical, whatever it is, right? If you're in the life coaching space, this is going to be the transformation that you get to sell to people. All right, that is it. I will see you next week. Bye for now.